What is going on, guys? I bring you my second place cooler deck. Got this gold Goku tonight. This deck right here has been putting in some work. Want to break down the deck for you, go over my choices, and then go into some matchups. I'm going to put the timestamps at the bottom of the video for you to skip ahead if you want. Also, I'm going to put the deck code in the description for the sim, and hope you like it. Starting off with the leader. So the leader is a crit leader, so it gets plus 5k on your turn. And crit is strong in Dragon Ball, but it does mean that you get less cards in your hand. So it is a trade-off, and cooler does like to have more cards in your hand. So definitely want to be self-awakening as fast as possible, because the other side of this leader is cracked. The leader is a when attacking, you draw a card, and then you can activate main or battle. So you can do it once per turn. You can do it on your turn or your opponent's turn. If you do it during the battle, you can do it on their turn. And you discard one card from your hand to choose one of your battle cards with a cost of 4 or less and Frieza Clan in its special traits, or one of your energy, and you switch to active. So there's a few things you could do with this. I'm gonna break it down in a little bit, but usually the main thing is you want to play a card like Cooler or Frieza and attack with them and then restand them, because they are Frieza Clan. So yeah, that is a very strong way to use the ability. Sometimes you could use it for the one energy to maybe go into like a supernova or something that we're going to get into in a little bit, or to even go into a one cost Frieza, but or even go into some kind of Ginyu play. There's a lot of flexibility with this leader. That's one of the reasons why I love him. The ability to use it on your opponent's turn as well, to maybe restand, so you get 2 swings in with this guy on your turn, and then you restand it on your opponent's turn, and then you get 2 swings again next turn. It's pretty sick. So I'm gonna go over the deck real quick, starting off with the 1-drops. We got the basic yellow 1-drops that are just solid. We have Sorbet, which just draws a card. It's a 5k, blah blah blah. Just a solid thing in like any deck right now for set 1. Then we have Zarbon, who's a searcher for Frieza. You have a decent amount of Friezas in the deck that we'll get into in a bit. And then we have 1-drop Frieza that rests anything, and it's the 10k. There's like not a lot of downside to playing this card in your deck. Moving on to the 2s, we play the Ginyu package in here because Ginyu package is just really aggressive and just very strong at the moment. It's just like one of the best ways to put on early game pressure, early game tempo. So you have Ginyu, who says if you have 3 or more battle cards with Frieza's army in the special traits, you can basically play this for free because you get the 2 energy back. And Frieza's army comes on a lot of your stuff, actually. All of the 1-drops have Frieza army in the traits. Some other cards like Frieza that has Frieza army in there, also Zarbon. So you're going to be, if you get just one thing to stick, if you just play a 1-drop and it sticks around for just 2 turns, then you could get out the combo with the Ginyu, which is to play Rikum. Also, if you just have if you have the energy marker, you could do it on turn 2 as well, where you play Rikum. And usually I don't like to use the energy marker early on in like any game, but like this is worth it. This is usually worth it if you get it on turn 2, because the pressure is just like unmatched. So yeah, you can play Rikum. Rikum adds 1 life, so he's also a self-activator. Add a life to your hand. Then after you've added that life, so if you don't have the thing, you could get the Ginyu Force card that costs 2 or less, like Birder, like Ginyu. But the Omega combo is to go Rikum into Ginyu, get the 2 energy back, and then you play another guy like Birder, like Frieza, any 2-drop that you have, and then you can get like 2 self-activators in the 1 turn, and just get a really wide board. So we have the Birder in here just for the Rikum, just so we have a target for it, just in case we don't have the Ginyu, or if we don't have another 2-drop to play after we play the Ginyu. And it's pretty solid. It's just a 10k as well, pretty nice. And then we have some self-activators here, like Knees, whatever. He's a blocker. He's a self-activator. He's a 10k, really good. You have to add the card, that's the only downside, but he makes up for that by being a 10k. Then you have the Frieza, which is like one of the most powerful cards in the whole entire deck, and you can search into it with Zarbon at the beginning. is when attacking, you could add the life, so you could do it multiple times. You can rest a 3 or less on attacking. It's so strong to just get rid of early game stuff from your opponent. It's like the nuts on turn 2. Yeah, you want to see this card in your opening hand for sure. And then Zarbon, it's just another self activator. That's pretty much it. And it says Frieza Army in it, so it will allow you to go into your Rikum the following turn. Then we have 2 vanilla Friezas. I think this is like the weakest card in the entire deck, but you just run it for the consistent searches, and sometimes it's like okay if you don't have anything else to play on 3, which you usually do have stuff to play, whether it's a 2 and a 1 or the 3, but does line up into Broly okay, I guess. But yeah, I basically like never play this card, but it's something to search. It's a 10k and it's a backup plan. Then you have 3 coolers in here. I think this card is very good. I was running it at 2. I like it at 3, not gonna lie, just because it is a solid card. Like, not only do you get to just, this is a card that you can restand with the leader and you can attack 2 times with a 30k and rest 2 things, but it is very good into red, pretty good into other yellow decks, so I think it's like pretty good overall. There's going to be a lot of times where you do just charge this card or discard it for your leader ability, but that's one of the great things about this leader ability, is that if you do have dead cards in your hand, you can just use them as fodder for the ability. I do like him at 3, and then at 4, definitely a must to have this guy at 4 right here. This Frieza is the thing that you're going to be wanting to restand with your leader, and it just puts on so much pressure in that like mid to late game against basically any deck, but like especially green. It's just like a very big number. It cannot be switched to active mode during your charge phase, but that's fine because like I said, you use it, you double swing with your ability, with your leader ability, and then you can even use it on your opponent's turn to then restand it and then go another 2 swings the following turn. And it's pretty strong. It's really good against yellow as well. Yellow has cards like Supernova, like Golden Frieza, that will tie down your cards and make them not able to switch to active the following turn. But Cooler's ability actually gets around that in a sense, because if they do select this Frieza, if I have this Frieza rested on my board and they attack with the Golden Frieza and they select this to not stand during my next turn, it's not technically my next turn yet, so I can actually use my Cooler ability while they're attacking, ditch a card to restand this during their turn. And yes, I won't be able to restand it the next turn after I swing with it, but I'll still be able to swing with it, and that has won me a few games. And then going into Golden Frieza, definitely a must in like any yellow deck, just a double strike card, and the when attacking is very solid. And you can pair it, like I was saying before, you can pair this with your 1-drop Frieza. It's a little expensive to do sometimes, because usually like what you could do is you could pay 1 for this Frieza, then use your Cooler ability to ditch a card and to restand 1 of your energy, and then you could play this 5-drop and then hold down whatever you rested. So it does take you discarding another card, and you have to have these 2 cards in your hand to do, but sometimes it's worth it, and it does it is pretty powerful. It's a pretty powerful combo. So and then you can use that 10k Frieza for the combo with your attack that you're about to do with the Golden Frieza. Very strong stuff, totally recommend it. And then besides the super combos that every deck runs, of course, we have Supernovas in here, which I think is pretty solid, especially with the Cooler ability where you could ditch a card to restand 1 energy. So if you have a dead card, you could just do it to get that extra energy for the Supernova. And 20k power is no joke, and holding down a 4 or less is also no joke. It doesn't come up that often, but there are scenarios where this card is basically the best thing possible, and just allows you to be aggressive and go on your aggressive kind of game plan while kind of being a little defensive as well. So now diving into some of the matchups. So like I was saying about yellow, yeah, a lot of these matchups you do want to just go into the Ginyu package. You want to get these Ginyu cards out. You want to just flood the board as fast as possible with your Ginyu cards, and like it's pretty much the best thing you could do, except for against Broly. Broly, once they flip, they're going to be at 25k, so it's not that strong against Broly. But if you do get like a wide board, you could start using these guys to chip away at their cards by going like 20 with Ginyu, and then going +5 from like your Rikum, going to 25, just swinging for like multiple 25s. But yeah, definitely weakest against Broly with that combo, so you don't necessarily have to go into that combo against Broly. I don't really recommend it, I would rather you do something else if you have it, which you have a lot of options. It's just about pressuring them down. I like going into the crit, staying with the crit side for a bit against the green decks especially. But depending on your hand, if you think you will need more cards in your hand, especially if you do dump the Ginyu combo, because once you dump these Ginyu cards, you're gonna not have a lot of cards in your hand. So that's when I will opt to flip and draw instead of like I get the extra draw instead of going for the crit and then flipping in certain circumstances. Really depends on how many cards you have in your hand. You do want to make sure you have a decent amount of cards for your leader ability. But yeah, against green, it's basically the crit. The crit is really strong at the beginning, and then it's this 4-drop. This 4-drop puts in so much work. This is a card that you're gonna really want for that mid game, and yeah, it's just really powerful for them against green. Even if they deal with one, you're gonna throw out another one. So you're gonna, against green, you're gonna be wanting to self-awaken as fast as possible. Gonna be looking for these self-awakeners for sure. The Frieza, and honestly, the Frieza is so strong that you will even want to like ditch a super combo early if they swing 30k into it. You're gonna want to defend this card because it's just gonna get you to self-activating very quickly. So especially against like another yellow deck, you're going to want to defend this card. You're gonna want this card early, and you're gonna want to just defend it because you're gonna be able to clear off like every early game card from yellow. And there's really not much of an other strategy against other colors besides just like being very aggressive. Obviously, like you don't want to awaken your opponent too early, but against a deck like Gohan, where they go to 20k and they're like trying to ramp up, it doesn't really matter if they flip. Like this leader ability is very strong, but only if they have really the 5-drop Son Goku out. So I would definitely recommend, if you have the chance to just swing on them, just swing on them. Like the Ginyu package is so strong against Gohan. I feel pretty favored in the matchup. I think you should just go as aggressive as possible. You don't even care if you activate them because they're not going to want to use this ability early on, like I said. So that'll be the strat for that. And then for everything else, just like really go aggressive. And the only thing you have to look out for is Broly with the Ginyu package. But the other decks, you don't really want to. You just want to play smart with your with when you're going to awaken them and get as much value out of the crit as possible. But yeah, you wanna self-awaken pretty quickly. I think it's pretty straightforward. But yeah, there's definitely some niche circumstances that arise, and yeah, I think the deck, like I said before, is very flexible with this leader ability. So hope you guys check it out. Subscribe if you want more content. Like it. Leave a comment. What do you want to see next? What deck do you want to see next? And yeah.